Who wants to go first? A victim or a volunteer?
Okay, so I had a question come up yesterday. I have a client who has like a 2.25% interest rate on a duplex with an assumable loan. Of course, he wants too much for it, and I'm trying to figure out what would the premium be for this sort of thing. His loan is at about 610. I think I could probably sell it just based on comps, not real world numbers, but what they've been selling for probably 650 if we're, top. But is there a premium that I can calculate for an assumable 2.25 interest rate on $610,000? I mean, what's the best way to approach that? He can't get the full premium, but I mean, is there a really easy way to explain that to a buyer and the seller?
Yes.
I love this question.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the easy answer is you can sell anything for any price as long as you're willing to set terms. So if he wants a premium, say, look, I can get you what you want, but you're going to have to take a seller note for the premium over some extended time period.
No, I believe he could get someone to pay the cash difference because frequently with a VA loan, they do pay 10% down to avoid lower their MIP or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's impossible. I know.
It sounds like a wonderful question.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else want to try? Or you just want me to do it? Or is that a dumb question?
I don't have the calculator thing because I'm on my phone. Well, I'm on my phone, right? I'm talking on my phone.
Do I have to buy you an actual computer for Christmas so you can join us? Like,
But the webcam on my laptop sucks. So
Can I ask
here I
first
am.
before you answer? What does the word premium mean? I'm not understanding.
So premium. So I think I might be able to sell this thing for 650, right? He overbought is what he did. So now he has a loan at 610, but it's at 2.25%. It's a VA loan. It's assumable. In order to sell it that way, buyers probably going to have to come up with cash for the remainder, which I don't think is impossible.
Right.
But what is a reasonable premium for this 2.25%, 610,000 over, I don't know. I should have called the lender, but I don't know, 7.5.
Okay. So let's approach this kind of from the does it pencil paradigm. All right. So let me start with this. I'm going to set aside the word premium for a minute. I'll come back to that. I'm going to substitute the word value. Okay. And so what value really means in the context of this or any other pricing discussion is what's it worth? Okay. And then the subtitle of what's it worth is, and we've all did this in pre-license, reasonably motivated buyer, reasonably motivated seller, all that jibber jab. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we kind of start with that. What's our question? And we call it a premium, but the question is, what is the value? Okay. Now, and now we take step 2, which is where we kind of get more into the weeds, but this is the does it pencil weed patch, okay? And the first thing I'm going to say, because it is the most important thing in my view, is that this is an atypical and classic example of how the Fed effed up the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? And let me just pause there for a second. A part of what I want us to discuss and what I want to share with you and learn from you, because I just think it's important for us to all just be more intelligent people in business, is to understand a little bit about something called a market. okay? Because we hear all these terms just slapped around willy-nilly, okay? And so the raw idea, the Keynesian idea of a free market it's called laissez-faire. That's a French term that means, let the market do what the market's going to do. And at the other end of that is the question of governmental intervention. Okay, so the two are always competing forces. They always juxtapose each other. And we saw that during the COVID time. Okay, we saw the government intervene on the free market and say, oh, the world's ending. We've got to print $7 trillion and drop interest rates to next to nothing. Okay, that was governmental intervention. That was not the free market. We're seeing a different version of that today with tariffs. Tariffs are not the free market. Tariffs are 100% government intervention. And this is not time to talk about Trump. We're not doing that. I'm just pointing out from a macroeconomic perspective, let's kind of step up on the box and look down and understand why these things happen. It's not because of the customer. It's because of the government. Okay, that's step number 2. Step number 3 is looking at the numbers. Okay, so here's how I'm going to approach this. Okay, let's just say that the fair market value of the property is $650,000. I don't care if it is, it's close. We don't have to get that nitty-witty about it, okay? All right, so if I take, and I have my thing with me, Mercedes, my thing.
I need another phone.
You do. When's your birthday? Because I got your back on that.
Just passed June 5th.
Oh, but it's still in June. Yeah, I got another phone for
Yes.
you. I'll be by next week. Okay.
Okay, count
So
for
if we say 650,000 do 80%, that's a $520,000 loan. Okay, and that's just an 80% loan to value. All right. So if I take that loan amount as present value, at 30 years, at 7 interest, my payment is rounded about $3,500 a month. Okay, that's at 7%. Now let me take that same loan amount, 520,000, at 30 years, at 2.5%. Okay, my payment is $2,054.
Wow.
Okay, so it's roughly $1,500 different, roughly. Okay, now these are 30-year amortized loans. Okay, and I point that out because most people don't hold loans that long, Jacques being the exception. But generally speaking, the market, I like to use like a 5-year because that's kind of the average when people buy and sell. It's a median value. So one way to look at this premium thing is say, okay, the payment difference is $1,500 a month. Okay, 1,500 times 60 is $90,000.
But that's not present value, 90 grand.
Yeah, that's a present value number. Okay, now I'm not going through discounted cash flow analysis, but I'm saying if I was to look at 5 years, that's $90,000 in difference. Okay.
Yeah, out of pocket, we'll say.
Well, that would be your premium. Okay, now that's a simple way to look at this. You're keeping the price the same. You're looking at the financing because the only way the premium was generated was based on the difference in interest rates. See, if he had a 7% VA loan,
No one would care.
no premium.
Right.
Okay, so one way to look at that is just to look at the disparity of payments at the same price using these two different interest rates and then extrapolate that over 5 years. And if you want to extrapolate it over 30,
Wow. Then it pays for it.
yeah, I mean, that's $540,000. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one way of doing it. Okay. Another way of doing it is to look at the payment and then solve for the present value of the note. So I'm doing it in reverse. based on a loan to value scenario. Okay. Where that gets difficult with these smaller properties, these duplex, fourplexy things, is that you oftentimes don't get enough rent to service debt to support a comparable sale price analysis. Okay, so let me just kind of rewind that for people that didn't quite follow that. The reason that a property like that today, and let me, before I say this, let me validate why I'm saying this. I've done this enough times. I know how this works. The market has absorbed the price increases from these lower interest rates. They've already been absorbed. We've had them for about 4 years. And so that's how the 650 thing will pop up on radar in your comparable sale analysis. Okay. The question that was never answered was, how did it get that way in the first place?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, it's sad because he overbought when he bought it. Really?
Well,
I
maybe, okay, so maybe he did, but not at the time, because the higher payment was supported because of the lower interest rate.
Right.
See?
Right.
Now it's reverse. Okay, it all swings on the fulcrum of the interest rate.
No, I get it. I know. I get it.
Okay, somebody else had a
And people expect
question.
The same appreciation that they saw when they overbought. It's just sad.
It has nothing to do with appreciation because you're pricing it in a today number.
Correct.
So does it have anything to do with cash flow? I can't.
It does, okay? It does. So the other two methodologies that you would use, but they don't really apply on these smaller properties. That's kind of where I was going next. Okay. Two methodologies that more commercial lenders would use. One is called debt coverage ratio, and the other is cap rate. Okay. And both of those are tied to the income of the property. Okay. So Jen, I know you're a CCIM, I'm a CCIM, we do commercial stuff. Like debt coverage ratio, if you look at an MAI appraisal, it's a very common way of commercial appraisers to continue to establish value. They will also use on income producing properties. I mean, every MAI appraisal I've ever seen always reconciles using the cap rate approach, which is justified using a methodology that I have called Foursquare, and that's using the mortgage constant. That's in Does It Pencil Course 2. I teach you how to do that. But both of those methodologies use the income approach to lead to a loan amount. Okay. Now, I don't have the NOI of this property. We don't have time to go through it. It just takes too long.
No, it's okay.
But I wanted to give you just kind of a quick and easy way to look at how can you price this thing called the premium. And the difference is going to be, what is the accrual of the difference in the payment that a buyer would have to make at a 7% interest rate versus the current 2%, okay? And look, you said it's overpriced, okay? So forget about all of my bullshit. What do you think it's worth?
I think in a best case scenario, he could get 650. That's what I think. And I think that's probably owner occupied on one side.
Well, what does he want for it?
700. He's not going to get it, even with this.
Okay, but look,
Even like-
I just showed you how to buffer at 90 grand. That gets you there if he takes the bait.
Yeah, and you're right. That's possible. It would. I mean, he'd wait a long time if he's okay with waiting, because he's got to find someone who.
Okay, so let me finish this one up because I want to have let other people have a chance. Good question.
Yeah.
But let me kind of just put a bow around this by going back to what Bill Whitehead said. So another tool in the toolbox, when you use the metaphor, is explore the possibility of a seller carryback of a second for the value of the premium. Okay, in other words, you strike price at 650 and then provide the deed of trust doesn't preclude this. You close and then you put a second on it, okay, which is a promissory note, maker holder. And let's just say, The guy takes back 90 grand, amortized over 30 years. And I've done
Higher
this.
interest rate too, because he's doing seller financing.
He's going to want that probably, but anyway, that's negotiable. I'm just going to do it at 7 and just see what the payment be. Okay. So that's $600 a month. That gets him a little annuity, balloon it in 5 years. That,
Who would handle something like that? I'm just a real estate agent.
okay. You are not just a real estate agent. You
So,
are a real estate professional. Okay. So this is
Yes.
what I would do. Just talk to a closing agent. They know how to do it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay.
or you can go to LegalZoom and tell your client, says, here's the forms, fill them out. You don't have. It's not that complicated, honestly.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well, see,
No,
and
I don't want to get sued.
let me just kind of a legal point, then we're going to go to the next person. In the state of Washington, for a seller contract to be valid, it has to include the form of the promissory note and deed of trust attached to the purchase and sale agreement. Otherwise, it's voidable in the state of Washington. Okay, Mercedes, awesome question. Who's next?
Oh, can I just add to Mercedes real quick?
Sure.
So I do a lot of seller financing on the kind of smaller investment stuff. And what I do see from a premium standpoint, what you're looking at, on one side, we usually get about 10 to 15% above quote market because of the ease and the flexibility that comes with those terms. And when you're describing it to people, like what Joe just described, if I'm going to go back to the buyer, I'm going to be like, look, this guy's going to save you $18,000 a year in interest because of the lower interest rate. So therefore, you will never pay over the next 5 years this $100,000, but we're going to scrap, $60,000 of that back or 90 or whatever that number is, right? So I don't know. I like making things super easy for people to understand because we can overcomplicate it all the time. And
Yeah.
it's good math, but then I'm like, yeah, but what's the bottom line? I just want more money in my pocket, and that's, easy stuff. So
Very good. Thank you.
That's an excellent point. Make it simple for people because they don't understand all this stuff.
And Mercedes, depending on how sophisticated your seller is, he can also sell that note to somebody else.
Oh, there you go.
If you get it into a higher interest rate, he
Yep.
can sell it at a discount to somebody else and get his cash.
Yep.
So just FYI.
Learning a lot today. Thank you.
That's why we're here.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything for us? Do you have any questions?
I don't know. You were going to call on me. I don't have a question per se. I'm sitting on 5 listings right now and about to work up a sixth. And, the headlines are pretty accurate with respect to the buyer malaise right now and just the market being really slow. 4 of my 5 listings are sitting probably at about 40 to 55 days at the moment. And I'm starting to have conversations with clients about, their feelings about, where we're at and what the market's doing and what we think might be an effective strategy. And, there's patience, there's price reductions, there's buyer incentives like a 2-1 buy down. There's, potentially a combination of those things. Aside from other, levers like maybe reworking up the property or that kind of thing. That's kind of where I'm spending a lot of energy right now is figuring out how to stimulate things here in mid-June, knowing we're going into, midsummer, late summer, coming up before we know it, and trying to figure out how to move some of this inventory. There's a lot of homes on the market. There's a lot of competition. That's not a question, it's a statement, but that's where I'm at.
And to add on to that, Chris, because I'm totally with you 100%. The one thing I always tell my sellers, I'm like, everything sells for the right price. Like, just period. And I remember back in 2009 when the world, like the sky had fallen and there was 14 months of inventory in certain areas where I was working. And we would come in below quote market and I would still produce bidding wars at that time. And that was like pre-short sale. Well, it was the midst of short sales, but we did those too. So I hear you. And at the same time, like I can generate multiple offers almost on every listing because of the way that we position it with the pricing. But getting the sellers on board and to trust you with that, that is the hard part.
Yeah, very
And
tough.
yeah.
I would say that's tougher to do, 6 weeks into a listing than straight out the gate. I
Oh
think
no,
people
it
are going to
still
look
works.
at days on market, at 45 days, even if at a price reduction, and probably still offer under asking price at this point. And that's part of what's really scary for sellers, I think, is that make that reduction. And if it's going to be a reduction, rather than chase the market down, make it a meaningful reduction and still expect something under my, improved upon price is a painful formula.
It is, and at the same time, like we do this, especially in the commercial world. Like I know, at least for the inventory, like if I'm going to sell a fourplex, for example, in my little market, I know that that's a 20 days on market, and it will always take 20 days to get an offer. And I can be on the market for 9 months prior, overpriced, and the minute that I hit where I know I need to be, I will still generate multiple offers every single time. So your time on the market, I don't think matters as much as presentation and
Mhm.
just kind of how you go about it. But it's no, that's like, I swear that's like the real estate secret that nobody knows. It's like, no, you can always generate and you can always bid things up to quote where they need to be because nothing will sell for below market value when you market it and actually get it out there to the world. So that's at least that's what I believe. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I've only been in it for 20 years. I think Joe's got more time in than me. He could tell more stories than I can.
I
So
just have
But
more scar tissue than you do.
yeah, but there's buyer, I mean, at least in my area, there's real buyer fatigue, residential, about this multiple offer thing. And a couple weeks ago, I went to a broker's open. I mean, I would have bought this house. It was fabulous. The agent who I know personally had like 8 people ready to submit, and the minute he put an offer review date on there, and informed him of multiple offers, every single one backed out. And I had one in my area where I had 4 offers, 2 backed out when I told them there were other offers. I mean, a lot of buyers at this time, they're not willing to play. And rather even than keep their existing offer on the table, they will pull it out of spite.
I've
and when
experienced people not offering because of offer review date as well.
Yeah.
My buyers included.
and so
Yeah,
I'm
it's just bizarro. It's like if you don't want to be in a bidding war, then just don't be in one. Just send your offer in. But everyone's, there's this new attitude. I just think it's spiteful. I mean, it's spiting your nose to cut off your face. But
Okay, I'm going to pull a couple pages from my course, Real Negotiation, because I think that maybe there's some application here. Okay.
Okay.
So, as you know, I write a few things from time to time, so words matter to me. So I'm going to start by I want to make sure that I draw a firewall between two interpretations of one word, and the word is offer. Okay, so I want you to just kind of set aside what your mind is telling you right now is an offer. We'll come back to that. Just kind of put that in the drawer for a second, okay? And let's go back to just some very basic human psychology, okay? And I want to use that term loosely because what we're trying to do here is we're having a conversation about how to get people to do something that they're not doing. And the translation of that is this: how do you get someone to change their mind? Okay, how do you get the buyer to go from, oh, I'm on the fence, I don't care, F you, seller, whatever, that whole thing, and move them into a different belief system, okay? Let's go back to the COVID time. What was the belief system of buyers? It was all FOMO, fear of missing out, right? I have to do this now, I have to overpay, or I'm gonna miss out, okay? So what is missing out? It's a human emotion, Okay. And it's a negative human emotion. And so one of the things I talk about in my negotiation course is people, and write this down if you've never heard this before, people always do more to avoid pain than they do to seek pleasure. Now, we may not like that. It may not be, progressive enough, whatever our thing is in today's society. I'm just talking about raw human emotion, stuff that's worked for 1 trillion years and will work for another trillion if we're still around. People do more to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. People don't want to miss out. Okay, so let's bring that back to what I think is the responsibility of any salesperson. What you need to do is reframe your offer. You need a better offer. Okay, and I was listening to you guys because I hear this all the time.
Yeah.
Most people that sell almost anything, but especially real estate salespeople, they think it's all about the price. And I'm here to argue, no, it's not. It's not all about the price. Okay, look at one story of How to Ready today. Mercedes seller overpaid. Okay, how many sellers today overpaid? A lot of them. Okay,
lot.
that's the interest rate thing. Okay, but back when they were buying, they weren't worried about overpaying. They're worried about missing out. Okay, missing out on availability, missing out on interest rates, miss out. So that's all framing. That's all story stuff. Okay, people don't do stuff. Okay, let me rephrase this, and I'll shut up. I'll shut up after this one.
Oh,
The other thing we need to remember is this: how do human beings make decisions? Okay, what is the software of the human decision-making model? It's very simple. It's what I call a two-step, okay? And it works the same way every time with everyone, and there are no exceptions. It's been proven scientifically. I had a white paper on this. It's true. People make decisions emotionally, and they justify rationally, okay? So when you as salespeople are trying to solve the puzzle, if you will, you keep going directly to ration and you forget about emotion. Okay? That's why I'm saying you need a better pitch. You need a new offer, and not the kind of offer that has 5 pages and all that kind of thing. You got to figure out a way to get them to fall in love, and then back that up with, if you don't act now, you're really going to miss out. Okay? Now, I'm giving you the model. You have to plug in the blanks. But that is the model. Okay? Now, my kind of caveat is Jen's not wrong about the important role that pricing plays. I'm not ignoring that. I'm adding to that and just kind of backfilling and saying, don't forget about the role that human emotion plays. Look, if people want something bad enough, they're going to get it regardless of the price. And this is all around us. We see it every day.
and that's true. And I will just say that part of the issue is that we're dealing with the agent on the other side who totally agrees with us, but their buyer is just like, hell no, this is a bidding war. I'm not going to do it. How dare they have an offer date? How dare they tell me there's multiple offers expecting me to, and really it's and I explain things pretty well. It's like, no, I want you to have the opportunity and just be aware. But I am really careful with that now because there is an allergic reaction to, I have another offer.
I don't think it's
Here's
just
an-
that though. I mean, it isn't. I'm not talking about a bidding war situation or an offer
Right.
review date. I'm talking
Right.
about this perception by buyers that there's loads of inventory on the market and probably a load more coming over the next couple weeks, and I can afford to wait and be patient, and maybe something more exciting will come up, and even if it doesn't, this other home that I'm interested in may have a price reduction over that time. Like, there's no urgency, right? I don't know how you create urgency in this environment right now.
Yeah.
FOMO.
I think it's a combination of the two, really.
Yeah, you're not going to change. You're not going to change the market.
Yeah.
No.
but you can change people's minds about the market. That's your job right now. And it's a different job than what you're accustomed to having. People haven't had this job for probably 20 years, pre 2002. Okay. When I started doing this, this is what you had to do. You know, back in the day when we called it a normal market, pre governmental intervention, pre COVID, pre Alan Greenspan. You know, Jen, you remember, Bill, you remember, Jacques, you remember. I mean, those of us who've been around, we've seen markets change. Okay. My offering to you today is you have to do something. It's the definition of crazy. You can't just keep focusing on price and it's going to save you. It's not. But remember that this is people making decisions, and be smart. I'm just telling you, this is how people do stuff. Okay? Focus on that and the money will come.
I would add that the caveat, and something in my X amount of years in real estate, you know, I've had people fall in love 7, 8 times, get beaten 7, 8 times. I've never seen that in our market ever. And so coming out this spring, I'm with Mercedes. It's a different attitude.
Yeah.
It is.
They don't want to fall in love and get beat up anymore. So it's really difficult.
Absolutely. And to add to that, so one of the questions that I was going to ask you, Mercedes and Chris, when you guys are talking about, oh, there's an offer review date or there's multiple offers, like I always try to be like, hey, I want you guys to get this. I want you to be the winner. Like, let's be a team. Let's work together. And I see at least, and I'm not on the residential side as much. I mean, I dabble in it with my own stuff and that's great. But for the most part, it seems like there's almost I don't know, like it's like a lot of listing agents almost build a wall around something and they're like, this is my listing, and like if you want it, you got to come into mine.
I don't think really
that
any of
what
the
you feel like?
people on this call have attitude. I've encountered that,
Yeah.
and I understand what you're saying totally.
Hey,
But
we're all good people here.
well, I just don't, because we're here for information. We don't think we know everything, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's not, and I don't even think it's the agent on the other side who I usually have really good rapport with. But the buyers that are coming in, I don't know how long they've been in the market. I don't know if they've been beaten up, but they are just like, I am not participating in a multiple offer situation. It's like, what difference does it make? Just send it, you might make it, you might not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, if you ask me what would be a successful offer, I will tell you. But I'm not, I don't think it's an attitude thing. I really don't. I don't think like where I'm concerned or where Chris is concerned, because we want to sell the house. We don't, yeah. But yeah, it's just different. It's really different. And I've heard at the last couple of sales meetings we've had at my office, I'm not the only one who's running into this. And neither is, my friend at the office who just had this, weird thing happen. And the interesting thing in that situation, just as an aside, all of these people just backed off immediately. So he takes off the review date, waits a week. It sold for 40,000 over ask because he kept his mouth shut. Go figure. They all could have had it 40,000 less. You know what I mean?
Yep.
5 days before.
And what I like to add into this, if I'm representing the buyer, and of course, every buyer's attitude's a little bit different, but
Right.
I always say, look, the seller's agent is under a contract to negotiate the highest and best offer. That doesn't mean yours is not going to be the highest and best.
Right.
And if you don't try, you never know. You have to ask before you can get a no. And that's always been my philosophy. If you don't ask, they can't tell you no,
Yeah, it's
because
not like
you
they
haven't
have to
asked.
write the offer. I mean,
Exactly. And that's the other thing. I make it sound, because a lot of my buyers, I don't know why, but they're concerned about it taking me so much time to do this. And I'm
yeah,
like,
the whole
look, it's my
hour.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, look, it's my job. I can have it done no time. Just, let me do it. And we throw our hat in the ring and see what happens. But I always like to explain to the buyers, the reason the listing agent advised this is because they are under obligation, under contract to negotiate the highest and best offer. It's not
Well,
always the
there's
best.
that. And there really is a concept of, hey, we're just making everyone aware so that everyone has equal opportunity. If they
Correct.
choose to use it,
Right.
I'm not asking for your last dollar.
Yeah, and then I always get the excuse, well, this is if they wanted to auction the house off, they should have listed it with an auction company kind of thing. And I'm just like, no, this is how we're doing it. You have to bring that
Yeah.
emotion back down. But yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, I know. And now I actually ask, do you want to know if another offer comes in?
Yeah.
Because I'm happy to not tell you.
Right.
So.
I will say this. I think we're moving into a time as real estate brokers in the residential space, at least, where, homes, aren't going to sell themselves well prepared, etc. There's a lot of, well, let's just put it this way. I'm getting a lot more calls, a lot more personal outreach, a lot more, let's talk about our clients and, what their needs are, etc. In fact, I got somebody to go back to one of my listings today based on, maybe a 20-minute conversation that I had with them yesterday. And he's like, all right, I'm going to bring my buyer, back through tomorrow. And he's there right now, actually. But I think, it's almost like the buyers and sellers are sort of in a stalemate. Sellers still aren't reasonable and buyers are frustrated. And, the representatives need to massage it a little bit more and not be on autopilot as much,
Okay, that's a really good point, and I'm going to jump in here, and then we'll probably have time for more. What an awesome discussion, by the way. You guys are rock stars. I want to just throw this in and see if we got another question. I'm going to make a suggestion that's very unorthodox in this business. Okay? But in other businesses, it's very much the norm. Okay, so this is where I'm going to try to kind of get you to you got to open your mind and just kind of be very agnostic about what I'm going to say next. There's a lot of negotiation process that goes on in real estate, okay? But another industry, another legal license industry where a lot of negotiation goes on is in the law, okay? Any lawyer will tell you that American jurisprudence, the system itself, is designed to be adversarial, okay? We don't want real estate to be that way, and it's not really intended that way, the way the law is, okay? But these conversations that we're having now and the way the real estate industry really has evolved and morphed over the last 20 to, say, 30 years is it's become much more adversarial than it used to be. And the reason that I say that is because there's just become this firewall between clients. And the firewall is the agents. Okay. Now, I'm glad Mercedes brought up, as a general rule, there isn't the attitudinal differences that did exist a few years ago. I think the market has kind of absorbed those and changed them. Okay. So where am I going with this? I've been in, I'll just say, a handful of legal settlements with lawyers. Okay. Opposing counsel, clients disagree. We have to make a deal. Okay. I have never made a deal with, lawyers running back and forth. It happens. But the best way to make the deal is to get everybody sitting down together. Again, I'm offering, open your mind to a different way of doing things. Okay. But in the world of what if Chris, you have this buyer or this agent has these buyers. What if you guys all got together on the property? Now, if your sellers show up, whatever, that's a whole nother story. But at least you're there. And why not just have this conversation? And why not approach that conversation from a place of curiosity, from a place of, I'm not here to advocate, I'm just here to listen. Obviously, agents represent clients. Don't breach that. But foster that environment, that attitude of, let's see if we can work together and make this happen. Okay. Now, again, very contra what many of us are accustomed to. Okay. But as market changes, as the world changes, we need to change as well. Remember, definition of crazy, same thing over and over, new result. Okay. We have to try new things. And I am very much a believer that when in these conversations, if you can get people to sit down from opposing sides, get them to sit down together, your chances of making a deal go like this. It's not against the law. It's not what people usually do, but it works.
That kind of leads to one of my questions. I actually have two, but one of my questions is I've been trying to secure a property for a buyer. The listing agent seems to have a very large ego, and we are coming in under market value or under listed price, but from the comps I've pulled from the homes that have sold from today's market, the house is overpriced, and they started way over, and now they came down $5,000, and so I'm trying to get that listing agent because he's like, well, with all the upgrades, granted, there are some nice upgrades, but we're not talking about $15,000 worth of upgrades. We're talking about cultured marble shower stalls and
Okay. So
a
the
granite
answer is
countertop.
somewhere in the middle.
Right.
That's
Right.
where the answer lives.
Exactly.
It always lives somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle. Okay.
Right. But
Let
I
me-
cannot, but he keeps telling me present a reasonable offer.
Okay.
And I'm like, I am presenting a reasonable offer.
Okay, here's the thing you got to remember about, I've been in this situation many times. Let me go, then whoever else wants to go, it's your turn too, but I'll just go first. You've got to let people save face. It's super important. Even if they're completely wrong, you've got to let them save face, okay? And this is empathy, not sympathy, empathy. Remember, this listing agent who you say has overpriced listing, he's probably got that listing because he sold that price to his client, and now his client has an expectation. Right? You're coming in and saying, oh, no, 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 no. You need to change your expectation. Well, for that to happen, he's going to lose face. Okay? That's the So you've got
So
to.
how do I put it back on me?
Well,
He doesn't.
what in those conversations, what I do is I play turnaround. Okay, and I anchor those conversations in things like, well, if you were me, what would you do? And then you shut up and listen to them, because every agent in this call, you've played both sides, you know how to do it. Okay, what would you do if you were me?
And one of the questions that I've been asking, whether it's a client or whether it's an agent, it doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, so here's my offer, or here's my deal, or here's my terms. And I'm like, how do I make your life easier to
Yeah.
get this back to your client? And making people feel good in a conversation goes so far, right?
100%.
Like, play to it, man. This is sales. This is a game. This is what we do. This should be fun.
Well, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to pull your current brains away from all this number stuff, which don't disregard it completely, but I'm just saying, appeal more to the emotion. People don't fall in love because of numbers. Numbers just are used to justify the love. They're not what creates the love. The love is an emotion, okay? And so an emotion, to go to Christine's thing, is if I'm going to lose face, that's a bad emotion. I don't want to listen to you. So you've got to create that cooperative, how can I help you kind of a thing to begin to diffuse that ego that was probably used to create an improperly priced listing to begin with. Okay, you can do this. I have faith. Okay, so here's another idea I'll leave you with. We'll wrap up here that I know Mercedes is going to hate. I'll just say that first. Again, you got to change with the market. Okay, so now you're saying, here's the market. Here's what's not working. That's what we've been talking about today. And that's good. We should talk about that. What I'm trying to do is say, okay, let's look at some different ideas because of definition of crazy. So what about this? What about putting together like a buyer seminar about things that work in this market? You know, June 2025, timestamp it, whatever. Have a reason for people to come and listen to you, and then tell buyers, you know, this is what your agent should be doing. I know it's a terrible idea, but it's the best I could come up with.
And
You know who our competition is now, Joe?
Where?
It's Chat GPT, because people go to Chat GPT and say, the smarter ones, and say, what the hell should my real estate agent be doing? And if you go to Chat GPT and type that in for a seller or a buyer, it should be what they expect. Sellers do it more often than buyers. Just saying,
What's the answer?
try it. Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should go to Chat GPT.
Well, have you
and
already
say,
done it?
Yeah.
Well, what does it say?
What did it say?
I have actually generated a PDF for me of what I should be doing. And I'm thinking, hey, thanks, Chat GPT, since this is what
You're going to make me do the work? Oh my God.
well, I mean, yeah, a little more work than I'm used to be doing, I'll admit. But hey, I'll do it. You know,
What is it?
you know what? I will bring the PDF to the next meeting, or I'll send it to Joe.
She can't look
But-
at it. It's on her phone.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay.
Can we all do a GoFundMe for Mercedes to get her?
Well, maybe what I
Give her
need is
another
a
device?
camera, Joe.
Yeah.
Maybe I need an actual camera.
Amazon has those cameras that will attach to your monitor for
Yeah.
pretty dang cheap.
Well, but I want to look not like I'm
I
on a
know.
web.
30 pounds younger, 20 pounds lighter. I know how it goes.
Oh, come on.
No, not you, just anybody in general.
And that I feel like all this stuff that we're talking about, such as putting people in the cars, isn't that really just more of a point of differentiation for attracting new clients and getting them to
Totally.
sign with you? Be like, hey, we'll do personal tours with you. We'll show you the ins and outs. We'll do.
Oh, no,
right?
definitely. No,
Right.
and I think that's true. That's how you differentiate yourself. But if someone's already with some lazy agent,
Mhm.
right? I mean, what can you do with that? You can't interfere in that relationship. And I think that's what we're coming up against.
But I can offer to open the door and I can offer private tours, right?
No, we cannot. Not if they have a signed agreement. No.
Well, yeah, but I'm not looking for their business. I'm just looking to service my client as a seller, right?
You
Can't
have to
do
have a
it.
contract before you can do that.
Can't do it.
We are 100%, in my view, at a moment in time and in the markets where we need to rethink a lot of our old thinking. That's what today's talk has been about. What a great conversation today. Thank you so much. But one of the things that is going to continue to be a question we need to ask ourselves is, it's the old value question. And now the question becomes the value of the human versus the machine. And that's really what we're starting to face with ChatGPT. And they told us this was coming, and it sounds like it's here. Okay? So, as humans, and you can ask the machine if you want to, but I think this is the new thing we need to focus on. And all the last little sprinkles that we had here, like Jen brought up, I'll open the house. It's the human thing. And, people are looking for leadership. They just are. Your clients are looking for leadership at varying levels. You're the one that makes that decision about how you're going to offer that leadership. And that leadership might be, oh, well, I've got you under contract, just go look at open houses. Or that leadership is, sign up with me and you get the human touch, not just the machine. I'll leave you with that. You guys are awesome. I'm going to Hood River. God bless you. I'll see you next week.